A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News.
The countdown has begun for the 2015 presidential election with just under 30 days to go.
It was an eventful day in the political arena today with 19 candidates coming forward to battle it out for the top job.
The day began with signatures being placed and wishes all around, followed by unexpected crossovers.
Tonight on the news, we have the story as it unfolded. But before that, here's a look at tonight's headlines.
"19 candidates to contest the presidential poll. Elections Commissioner appeals for an election free of violence.
සහ දේශපාලන පක්ෂ නායකයන් අතර තියෙන සුහදතාව අනිත් බිම් මට්ටමේ ආධාරකරුවෝ අතර තියෙනවා නම් අපිට මේ ඡන්ද විසීම පවත්වන්න ඉතාමත් පහසුයි.
Tissa Attanayake pledges support to the president.
ලේකම් කෙනෙක් යනකොට ලේකම් කෙනෙක් කියන එක තරම් අජ්ජක්
Hirunika Premachandra pledges support to Maithripala Sirisena.
පැහැදිලිව කියන්නේ මම මගේ තීරණය මේක ස්වාධීන හිතට එකඟව අර සාක්ෂියට එකඟව ගත්ත තීරණයක් මේ තීරණය හැමදාමත් මේ විදිහට
19 candidates will battle it out at the 2015 presidential election. 17 candidates representing accepted political parties and 2 independent candidates submitted their nominations this morning.
The submission of nominations ahead of the forthcoming presidential polls was held this morning under the auspices of the Elections Commissioner at the Elections Secretariat in Rajgiriya. Special security arrangements were in place in the vicinity of the Secretariat during the submission of nominations. Thereby, entry to the nominations hall was permitted only to several authorized individuals.
Excuse me. Sir, party lang kanila board. Excuse me, contact din. Sir, after extra party lang board. Excuse me, chutak. Isa pasan na board.
Another sitting area was allocated for party leaders, ministers, parliamentarians and special guests. Supporters of President Mahinda Rajapaksa gathered at a location close to the election secretariat.
is what they're looking forward to.
Another area near the secretariat was prepared for supporters of common candidate Maithripala Sirisena. Seventeen candidates from accepted political parties and 2 independent candidates submitted nominations from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. this morning. President Mahinda Rajapaksa submitted his nomination from the UPFA ticket.
வேட்பாளர்கள் மொத்தமாக 19 வேட்பாளர்களின் 14 நாட்களுக்குள் செய்யப்பட வேண்டிய ஒன்று.
Common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena submitted his nomination from the New Democratic Front.
In 1972 and changed its name to Sri Lanka, and this is where He represented the political party of the
Venerable Bathramulle Silarathanathero handed over his nomination from the Janasatha Peramuna, MB Thaminimulla from the Okkuma Vasio Okkuma Rajabura organisation, while Pani Vijayasiriwardana submitted his nomination from the Socialist Equality Party. Sirathunga Jayasuriya is contesting from the United Socialist Party this time around as well. Jayantha Kulathunga will be contesting from Eksat Lanka Mahasabha Party, and the nominee of the Sri Lanka National Front is Bimal Geenagage. Nominations were also submitted by the presidential candidate of the United People's Front Ibrahim Nishtar Muhammad Niftal, Duminda Nagamua for the Frontline Socialist Party, ASP Liyanage from the Sri Lanka Labour Party, and Sundaram Mahendran from the New Samasamaja Party. Prasanna Katugampala submitted his nomination from the Democratic National Movement, while Ajit Namal Rajapaksa will contest from Ape Jatika Peramuna or Our National Front. Sarath Manamendra is the presidential candidate from the Navasihala Uramaya, and Nuwan Tilaka Pedurarachi will be contesting from the Lanka People's Party. I.M. Ilyas and Anuruddha Polgampola will be contesting the presidential polls as independent candidates. Following the submission of nominations, Elections Commissioner Mahinda Desha pre-allocated a time frame for filing objections. Subsequently, 2 objections were filed against the candidacy of President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the candidacy of Maithripala Sirisena. The commissioner quashed the objections. The Elections Commissioner then announced that 19 candidates will be contesting the January 2015 presidential polls.
We
can conduct the elections peacefully if the cordiality that exists among the national level politicians and leaders is observed and adhered to by grassroots level campaigners. I would like to request from all campaigners to act according to advice put forth by your party leaders and adhere to the laws and regulations of the country and give room for others' views. We have had universal enfranchisement since 1931. In all of Asia and Australia, it is only New Zealand that had universal franchise before we did. Therefore, I kindly request everyone to act in line with the advice of their leaders. We know that no leader will willingly make their people resort to violence.
Candidates were seen exchanging wishes and greetings with each other following the submission of nominations.
විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ රටේ මැතිවරණ ඉතිහාසයේ මේ රටේ
A warm welcome was rendered by several supporters when President Mahinda Rajapaksa exited the premises of the election secretariat. The President then revealed that UMP General Secretary Tissa Athanayaka had crossed over to the government.
Today, our party secretary or former secretary is contesting from their side, and today, their secretary is with us. Do not underestimate us. When we lose a secretary, we get one back. It is no big deal. So, they will continue to go, but our doors are open. We still say that you could cross over to this side. Now it has started again. Therefore, I request you all to join hands with us. Pledge your support to us.
Common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena also met with his supporters subsequent to the handing over of nominations. The Mahasangha blessed Maithripala Sirisena, and thereafter he addressed the group of supporters.
රටේම විශ්වාසය දිනාගත් ගරු මෛත්‍රී
I would like to clearly state that I will permanently defeat the government which brought evil to the country by depriving its citizens' rights and destroying their future. We have formed an alliance to bring forth a new government entirely focused on freedom and democracy. In the last 10 days, this country witnessed a sudden turn of events. The anti-government sentiments of the citizens were exposed. This had led to the downfall of not only President Mahinda Rajapaksa's government, his campaigning has weakened and shattered to several pieces. Campaigning activities within temple trees has come into complete standstill. The election mechanism of officers in AC rooms at the temple trees is no more. In fact, the temple trees is today the site of a total election catastrophe.
The presidential election will be held on the 8th of January.
Celebrations were organized in several areas across the island following the submission of nominations by President Mahinda Rajapaksa as the presidential candidate from the United People's Freedom Alliance.
Celebrations broke out in the Chilau town following the submission of President Mahinda Rajapaksa's nomination. UPFA supporters in Galle held a parade expressing their support for President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Meanwhile, UMP supporters distributed kiribat and held celebrations in the Konga area in Galle following the submission of the nomination of common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena. A walk was organized in the Ahliagoda town in support of the nomination of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The group paraded from Kuruvita to Ahliagoda. Celebrations took place in close proximity to the clock tower in Polonnaruwa in support of Maithripala Sirisena.
Former General Secretary of the United National Party, Thissatta Nayaka, extended his support to President Mahinda Rajapaksa today.
Thissatta Nayaka called on President Mahinda Rajapaksa when the head of state returned to Temple Trees after submitting his nomination for the presidential poll. Meanwhile, MP Jayantha Katagoda, who was the deputy leader of the Democratic Party, also joined with President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Jayat Isranavira, addressing an SLFP meeting today, expressed these views on his resignation.
Our entire generation are SLFPers. Therefore, I have decided to have a discussion with the people and my supporters to support Maithripala Sirisena from within the Sri Lanka Freedom Party with the blessings of the Mahasangha. Today, I will resign from the post of the leader of the House of the Sabaragamu Provincial Council and return the vehicles. Afterwards, I will continue to function as a member of the SLFP in the Sabaragamu Provincial Council.
Meanwhile, UPFA Western Provincial Council and SLFP co-organizer of the Central Colombo electorate, Hirunika Premachandra, pledged her support to common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena at a media briefing convened at the opposition leader's office today.
Maithripala Sirisena මැතිතුමාට සහයෝගය දක්වන්න නැද්ද කියන එක මම
When various persons said certain things about Maithripala Sirisena, I clearly stated that he is a good, honest and pure gentleman. I stated it then and I'm stating it now. People in this country began loving me not because I was a personality. After my father was killed, I was left with two options, either stand and fight or remain silent. It has been 3 years since my father was murdered, but the main person and the others involved have not been penalized. Recently, we attended a program to present houses in the Kolonnava area. The main person involved in my father's murder also arrived at the scene along with 40 others. He frowned at me, pointed his finger at me and looked at me as if I was a murderer and stormed past me. I immediately inquired from the police whether such an individual could move around freely. There are families in Kolonnava who have worked tirelessly for the party but who have not received anything in return. From today, my father, who rendered a yeoman service to the party, will be billed as a bad person, and I will be billed as the worst woman on earth. That is all right. What I have to say is what Rajitha Senaratne said, and that is that a correct election campaign can be carried out. Politics which involves mudslinging is distasteful. That is why I promise to render my fullest support to the victory of common candidate Maithripala Sirisena.
පාඩුවේ තමුන්ගේ වැඩක් කරගෙන කිසි කෙනෙක්ට අර කියන්නේ කඩයන් නැතුව කිසි පාඩුවේ ඉන්න පුළුවන් රටක් නිර්මාණය කරන්න මම කැප වෙනවා කියන හින්දා කියන්නේ.
Common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena announced today that he would undertake a non-violent election campaign. He made this statement at a media briefing held this afternoon.
The media briefing was convened at the opposition leader's office following the submission of nominations.
In our manifesto, we have pledged to guarantee media freedom. Today, at a time when the state and state media should be impartial and balanced in keeping with the tradition and in line with upholding election laws, it is clear that the program telecast on Rupavahini on the submission of nominations before the election secretariat led by the elections commissioner was a gross violation of that accountability. They telecasted it from the time that Mahinda Rajapaksa left the presidential palace. However, the other candidates were not done justice on Rupavahini or in the state media. It is clear that this election has become a battle between the power of arms and the power of wealth on one side and the power of people on the other side.
The people have been given false promises and they have been deceived. We distastefully condemn this political culture. We saw a character from the UMP betraying the people of this country and all the goals. A person from our party too betrayed us. At this challenging time, when sacrifices should be made for the country, they went behind 150 or 200 million. As politicians, we too must be ashamed of such personalities. Maithripala Sirisena also commented on his assets at this media briefing.
I submitted my assets declaration to the elections commissioner today. Any person who makes a request can take a look at it. It will be at our office from tomorrow and will be available on request. It is open to all people in the country. I have here in my hands the fuel coupons I received while the Minister of Health for 2014. They amount to about 1,030,000. This is what was left over after I used what I needed. I have asked the transportation officer of the Ministry of Health to come here so that I could hand over these coupons. Can you come forward and take these?
Since there are various astonishing statements being made regarding me in the media, I have decided to come forward and make this statement to my people. I wish to state that I will be with the United National Party for as long as I am alive and involved in politics.
Now, News First experienced an obstruction today in obtaining footage for our live coverage of the submission of nominations for the presidential election at the election secretariat in Rajagiriya. The disruption occurred at the instant that common candidate Maithripala Sirisena was submitting his nomination.
On the 6th of this month, in a fax address to the chairman of the MTV-MBC Media Network, the Director General of the Department of Government Information, Professor Aryaratna Athugala, noted that the submission of nominations for the presidential election would be telecast live on Rupavahini and that the video feed would be provided to other channels sans the Rupavahini logo on the instructions of the Elections Commissioner. In the fax, Professor Athugala requested that preparations be made for the telecast and that the Deputy Director General of the Current Affairs Division of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Tilak Mahagamage, be contacted to obtain live footage of the event. A short while after the live telecast commenced, the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation contacted our engineering director and informed him that they would be discontinuing the video feed of the submission of nominations. The officer from the SLRC noted that this action was being taken on the instructions of the Director General. As a result, at about 10:30 a.m., Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation ceased providing us with live footage minus the Rupavahini logo. At that time, it was the common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena who was submitting his nomination. Notwithstanding the disruption, News First telecasted the instance at which Maithripala Sirisena submitted his nomination using the video feed with the Rupavahini logo. Subsequently, News First contacted the Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media and Information, Charita Herath, regarding the matter. After informing Chanitha Herath, the news director at News First contacted Tilak Mahagamage at SLRC and inquired into the cessation of the live video feed sans the Rupavahini logo. He informed us that they could restore the video feed minus the logo.
The Election Secretariat has received 52 complaints of election law violations thus far, while police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana stated that the police have received 15 election-related complaints.
Around
15 persons surrounded us and held a pistol to my son's ear. We were in the jeep. When we were reversing, they threw a large stone at the windscreen. They identified him and around 15 persons took him and assaulted him on the road. Minister Salinda was in the jeep and saw all of this. He is a good friend of mine. Why did he do this? Minister Salinda was waiting till they came to assault me.
That was how the UMP Hiriyala electorate organizer Asuri Kumara Herath described the attack on him. Police state that a group who were participating in a motorcade from Hiripitiya last evening carried out the assault. The vehicle of Asuri Kumara was damaged as a result. Asuri Kumara, who sustained injuries in the incident, was admitted to the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital and was discharged this evening.
They had come and obstructed our procession, and at that time our group had been enraged by it. I don't say it is acceptable, but I do say that these are actions of those who are hungry for media attention.
Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana says that investigations have commenced in relation to the incident. Meanwhile, an unknown group attacked several aides of UMP MP Dr. Harsha De Silva, who were engaging in putting up campaign decorations in Rajgiriya last night.
Around 7 to 8 persons who were drunk told us to remove our flags. He broke the bottle and tried to stab me in my stomach. But it is because I was able to cover myself that my hand was cut, and since the base of the bottle was not broken, it did not go through my stomach. They came in a jeep with a CC number plate. There are enough and more blue flags hung opposite the election secretariat and along the Parliament Road. They have given us Kota Road. They acted in an unfair manner by telling us that instead of hanging green flags, to hang blue flags. Is this a fair election?
A house in Daluwela, Dankotua had been attacked using a hand grenade early this morning. The police media unit said that 2 persons who arrived in a motorcycle had hurled the hand grenade at the house.
I believe this incident took place because I am an activist of the People's Alliance. 2 or 3 days ago, Maithripala's brother and some MPs held a small discussion at my house. I believe this incident took place because of this.
Police state that the house did not sustain major damages and no one was injured in the incident. Meanwhile, an unidentified group hurled stones at a house located in the Paradeka area in Pusalawa in Gampala. Several 3-wheelers which were parked in close proximity to the house were also damaged as a result. Furthermore, an unidentified group attacked a UPFA office near a boat tree on the Kudawella Fisheries Harbour Road. 1 person who sustained injuries in the incident was admitted to the Nakulugama Zonal Hospital. Our correspondent noted that the office was declared open by the Deputy Minister of Water Supply and Drainage, Nirupama Rajapaksa, on the 6th of this month.
Well, crossovers and defections are on the tip of every tongue in the political arena at present. Let's take a look at some of the views that have been expressed.
Their objective is to weaken the president. Because the president stands tall like a mountain, they are trying to remove all the supportive rocks around the mountain. They are trying to weaken him. After weakening him, they believe it will be easy to topple him. That is what they are doing. This is exactly what the United National Party is doing. They are using someone else to do what they could not. However, that will never happen. Through this program, the United National Party will disappear forever.
They are speaking nonsense. Ministers are like helpless people. They only talk the talk. That is why there is a massive disturbance within the government. Already 5 cabinet ministers defected. Come tomorrow and the day after, many more will come.
A person with a normal IQ cannot understand this. According to the UMP constitution, no other person will be given the leadership of the party or the leadership of the country. I can say with utmost responsibility that even if the UMP supporters ensure it, Ranil Wickremesinghe will not.
Last time the hands of Sajith and Ranil were raised, but he continued to be the opposition leader. This time around, even if they raise their legs, it is Mahinda Rajapaksa who will be victorious at the election.
I believe the people have come together devoid of party differences to chase away the president who is...
They want an immediate change to the constitution. They want to abolish the executive presidency. The president cannot change the constitution or the executive presidency. He has no right to do so. Be it Mahinda Rajapaksa, Chandrika Kumaratunga, Premadasa or even JR, they cannot do it. Only the parliament which compiles the constitution has the right to make changes to it. When you look at the things that are taking place in the world, we need the presidential system that saved the country, that united this country and saved Sri Lanka from death.
All what SP Dissanayake does is a mockery. He always says that this cannot be achieved. I have never seen a lie like this in my entire life. I saw it with my own eyes. Look, my brothers, they are now rallying behind Mahinda Rajapaksa. The other is Wimal Weerawansa. How did he start in politics?
You cannot administer a country by merely complaining. If you do not have a clear vision, you need to have someone who does and move this country forward with the latest development. I wonder what you can do if you are blind. You cannot have one fruit with one stone. You need to get on the laurels of someone and pluck the fruit. They tried it in 2010 and failed. This time they have got on the laurels of Sirisena or the other way round to determine it. This is like cement and Fanta. It does not go together.
Chandrika was given a contract. She said she is sure of bringing in 64 people. Not only that, she said that when 34 others cross over on the 24th, the budget of Mahinda Rajapaksa will also be defeated. Ranil Wickremesinghe is in fear. If the budget is defeated, Parliament will have to be dissolved. Do not fall victim to Ranil Wickremesinghe. He has preyed on innocent Sirisena, citing that he does not need the presidency and that he will give it to someone else. This innocent man who was raised in this house has been charmed by this woman. He was an innocent man. It is said that if any man falls victim to such acts, there is no turning back for him forever.
Deputy Leader of the United National Party, parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa, says that a democratic national election is the singular hope of all citizens in the country. He made this statement addressing an event held in Suryawava yesterday.
A monetary donation was made to the Syrian Sar Welfare Committee in Hatporwa Suryawava under the Sasunata Aruna program yesterday.
Postal voting will be held in the near future. They are trying a new trick in the public institution ahead of the postal voting. This is especially evident in the SLTB. Employees are being forced to register for postal voting. What is the motive behind this? What they are planning to do is to initiate large-scale national election fraud on the day of postal voting and secure all the postal votes for the government. This is a historic conspiracy.
Meanwhile, another event was held to make a monetary donation to the Uddakandra Funeral Committee in Kismaharama last evening.
Subsequent to handing over his nomination for the presidential poll, President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Kalaniya Raja Mahaviharya.
The president first visited the Kalaniya Raja Mahaviharya to obtain blessings. The chief incumbent of the Viharaya, Venerable Kollupitiya Mahinda Sangharakita Thero, blessed the president. Later, President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Bulugaha Goda Vishnu Devalaya in Paliagoda. Minister Mervyn Silva, Tissatha Nayaka, Jayantha Katagoda, Sarana Gunawardena and several others accompanied the president.
Not even 24 hours since Tissatha Nayaka vacated his position as General Secretary of the United National Party, Kabir Hashim took up the post of General Secretary. For whose want was Kabir Hashim appointed as General Secretary? Party activists believe that making such appointments, even without the party's deputy leader being informed, further diminishes public favour towards the party. For whose want was a General Secretary secretively appointed after a decision was made strongly opposing the initial nominations of Daya Palpola and Akila Viraj Karyavasam, who do not have a voter base. Party activists opine that through such arbitrary actions, frustration building up against the UNP cannot be avoided. Once again, the appointment of a person such as Kabir Hashim to the post of General Secretary within 24 hours is a serious problem in the political sphere. It is an arbitrary decision. We inquired about this and realized that not even Deputy Leader Sajid Premadasa was informed about this appointment. Therefore, the other members of the UNP are under immense pressure. This should not be the case. The UNP has fallen into such a state because of arbitrary decisions that have been taken over the years. Speaking to the Dawasa program aired on Sirasa TV at 7:30 p.m. today, UNP Assistant Leader Ravi Karunanayaka said that he too is unaware that Kabir Hashim was appointed as the General Secretary of the party.
An United National Party Electorate Council meeting was held in Beruala yesterday. Speaking at the event, parliamentarian Sujiva Senasinghe expressed these views.
The Pope will definitely have to come. Why am I saying this? Now the President also has a file on the Pope. Therefore, the Pope has no alternative. He will have to come to Sri Lanka. The Pope will release an official statement by tomorrow or the day after. Because it doesn't surprise us if the government doesn't make such statements. They bought a car for Prince Charles to travel in. Now the youngest son or someone else is using it. We don't know who exactly. There is no taxation for Lamborghini cars. There is an agent in Colombo. You are only taxed when you purchase a Lamborghini, not when it is imported or shipped to Sri Lanka. This has become an amazing country.
It's time now for Action TV.
The residents of the Ampara town, which is a byproduct of the first major post-independence irrigation project, are facing a situation where water has become a hindrance to them. However, this is not the result of any shortcoming in the Galloe scheme, which was the primary cause for the birth of the Ampara town. Nevertheless, it is development that has created this situation. Incidentally, not even 2 years have passed since the completion of the development project that brought about this problem. It would not be wrong to consider the resurfacing of roads to be the symbol of this development drive, which took place between mid-2012 and mid-2013, parallel to the Dayatakirula National Development Exhibition in Ampara. On several prior occasions, Action TV highlighted the flaws in these road resurfacing projects, which come to light during the rainy season. Heavy showers that fell in Ampara last night brought day-to-day life to a standstill and inundated the main access road to the Ampara General Hospital. This 2-kilometer stretch of road is an alternate route that can be used to connect the Ampara Kandy Road from the Ampara Kalmune Road, evading the Ampara town.
When we go to the municipal council, they send us to the road development authority. When we go to the road development authority, they send us to the municipal council. We are yet to receive a solution. Every time it rains, we face immeasurable hardships.
The two-lane highway was resurfaced as a single-lane road parallel to the Dayatakirula exhibition. While this single-lane highway is being used as a two-lane highway at present, floodwaters flow onto this road from 3 connecting byroads, which were also developed parallel to the Dayatakirula exhibition.
They have built roads and no drains. The roads are on a higher elevation than the homes. Even during minor showers, the homes are inundated.
Shouldn't the flaws of Dayatakirula Ampara be rectified prior to the holding of Dayatakirula in Matara? Secretary to the Ministry of Economic Development, this is over to you.
Tea prices in the domestic market have dropped significantly over the past month.
According to data released from the Ceylon Tea Board in November 2013, a kilogram of tea was sold at 461 rupees and that price had dropped by 30 rupees in November this year to 431 rupees a kilogram. The price of a kilogram of high-grown tea had dropped by 53 rupees, while the price of a kilogram of low-green tea has dropped by 33 rupees. Meanwhile, Ceylon Tea Board data for November 2014 also revealed that in comparison to November 2013, the stock of tea intended for auctioning had dropped by 94,000 kilograms.
Ashley De Silva, Chief Executive Officer at Sri Lanka Cricket, stated that the report on the accuracy of Sri Lankan spinner Sachithra Senanayaka's bowling action will be released during this week. Speaking to Sports First, De Silva stated that if the spinner's action is cleared as legal, he will begin playing from the current ODI series between Sri Lanka and England.
Sachithra Senanayaka has been included in the 30-man provisional squad for the ICC Cricket World Cup in Australia and New Zealand next year. Furthermore, spinners Jeevan Mendis, Dilruwan Pereira, Sikuge Prasanna, Rangana Herath and Ajanta Mendis, as well as newcomers Ramit Rambukwala, Lakshan Sandakan and Tharindu Kaushal are also in the World Cup squad. The provisional squad's wicket-keepers include veteran Kumar Sangakkara, Dinesh Chandimal, Kusal Janit and Niroshan Dikwalla, while the batting department includes Dimut Karunaratne, Upul Tharanga, Ashan Priyanjan and Kitruwan Vitanage. Sri Lanka will be facing host New Zealand in the first match of Group A.
Meanwhile, a state memorial service for cricketer Philip Hughes has been cancelled. Australia batsman Hughes died in hospital 2 days after being struck by a ball in a domestic game last month.
New South Wales Premier Mike Baird said the decision followed consultation with Cricket Australia and Hughes' family. He added, quote, all parties felt that given the enormous outpouring of support at last Wednesday's funeral, a state memorial service would no longer need to be held, unquote. About 5,000 people attended the service in Hughes' hometown of Maxwell, New South Wales, with mourners including Australia's Test team coach Darren Lehmann and cricket legends Shane Warne and Brian Lara. Hughes had been wearing a helmet, but the ball struck him at the top of the neck, causing the injury. Australia's Test series against India was due to begin in Brisbane on 4th of December, but that was rearranged due to the proximity to Hughes' funeral. The rescheduled first Test begins on Tuesday in Adelaide.
And that's a wrap of tonight's edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Florine Rajendran.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.